The steel doors of ADX Florence slam shut behind Daniel Hayes like a coffin closing. This is it. The end of the line. America's most secure Supermax prison, buried in the Colorado mountains, where screams get swallowed by concrete and steel. Daniel's in shackles, hands cuffed to a chain around his waist, shuffling forward as guards process him through intake. They strip him down, catalog his possessions, which is nothing, and then they see them. The tattoos, covering his chest, back, both arms in intricate geometric patterns that look like abstract art. Mathematical formulas, architectural blueprints, compass roses. What gang you with? A guard demands. Daniel meets his eyes. I'm not in a gang. The guard smirks. You will be. 23 days until your execution. Hayes. Better make friends fast. If you want to see how a wrongfully convicted man uses his own body as evidence to prove his innocence, hit subscribe now. This gets intense. Cell H Unit, Section 12. Daniel's new home. 7 by 12 feet of poured concrete. No windows. A slot in the steel door where food comes through. A concrete slab for a bed. A stainless steel toilet/sink combo. 23 hours a day, he'll be locked in here. 1 hour of recreation in a slightly larger concrete cage. This is ADX Florence, designed to break the human spirit through complete isolation. As the door locks behind him with a hydraulic hiss, Daniel sits on the concrete slab and closes his eyes. He has 23 days until they strap him to a gurney and inject poison into his veins for a murder he didn't commit. 23 days to get the information hidden in his tattoos to the outside world. 23 days to prove that FBI Deputy Director Robert Vance murdered federal whistleblower Katherine Mills and framed Daniel for it. The clock is ticking, and nobody in here wants to help a dead man walking. 14 months ago, Daniel Hayes was a structural engineer working for Vance Construction, a government contractor building federal facilities. He discovered something horrifying. The company was using substandard materials, bribing inspectors, cutting costs on projects housing thousands of federal employees. Buildings that would collapse in earthquakes. Bridges that would fail under stress. Katherine Mills, a federal auditor, was investigating. She had evidence. She contacted Daniel, asked him to testify. They met at her apartment to go over documents. Daniel arrived at 8 p.m., found her door open. Found Katherine dead on her living room floor, strangled. Papers scattered everywhere. He called 911. Biggest mistake of his life. Within hours, FBI arrested him. His fingerprints were everywhere. Of course they were, he'd been there. Security footage showed him entering, no one else. The murder weapon, an extension cord, had his DNA. He'd been set up perfectly. The real killer? FBI Deputy Director Robert Vance. Katherine's uncle, the man who stood to lose everything if her investigation continued. He killed his own niece to protect his empire. Day 2. They moved someone into the cell next to Daniel's. In ADX Florence, you don't share cells, too dangerous. But you can talk through the vents if you're quiet. Late that first night, a voice comes through. You're the engineer, the one who killed that Fed. Daniel stares at the concrete wall. I didn't kill anyone. A low chuckle. Yeah, that's what we all say. I'm Marcus Thompson. They call me Ghost. Been here 11 years. Former prosecutor, if you can believe that. Got framed for taking bribes I never took. Lost my appeal. This is home now. Daniel processes this. A former prosecutor might understand. Might help. Ghost, I need to get information to the outside. To my sister. It's in my tattoos. Silence for a long moment. Then, your tattoos. They're a map. Proof of who really killed Katherine Mills. GPS coordinates, timestamps, security footage locations. Everything needed to prove Vance is the killer. Another pause. Kid, you're either crazy or brilliant. Maybe both. Tell me more. Day 3. Daniel's called to the warden's office. Highly unusual in ADX, where inmates rarely leave their cells except for recreation. Warden James Crow sits behind a steel desk, faced like carved granite. Former military, dead eyes, no mercy. Mr. Hayes, I understand you've been talking to other inmates. Daniel says nothing. How does he know? The cells are supposed to be soundproof. Let me be clear. You have 20 days until your execution. The state of Colorado will carry out that sentence. There will be no appeals. No miracles. No last-minute reprieves. You are going to die in this facility. Crow leans forward. And if you cause problems before then, if you agitate, if you organize, if you try anything, I will make your final days unimaginably painful. Solitary confinement. Beatings. Accidents. Do you understand? Daniel meets his eyes. I understand you're on Vance's payroll. Crow's face hardens. Get him out of here. That night, Ghost asks the question. How'd you get all that information into tattoos without anyone noticing? Daniel stares at the ceiling. I knew they were coming for me. Katherine gave me copies of everything before she died. I'd already left her apartment. She called me, frantic, said someone was following her. She sent me encrypted files. GPS coordinates of where Vance met his hired killer. Timestamps of security footage showing Vance entering Katherine's building. Bank records of payments. I had 72 hours before FBI arrested me. I found a tattoo artist in Boulder who specialized in geometric designs. Paid him 10 grand cash. Gave him the exact specifications. He thought I was crazy, but did the work in 3 sessions. 24 hours of needle time. Every line means something. Every coordinate is precise. And nobody's decoded it yet? Not the visible layer. But under UV blacklight, there's a second layer. That's where Vance's face is. Where the kill shot is. Photo extracted from footage, rendered in UV reactive ink. Day 7. Recreation hour. They let Daniel into a concrete cage barely larger than his cell. 10 feet by 15 feet, 20-foot walls. Open to the sky. Razor wire above. It's November in Colorado, freezing. Daniel does push-ups, try to maintain strength. Then he hears it. A voice from the adjacent cage. Daniel Hayes. He stops. Looks through the steel mesh separating the cages. Another inmate, black male, mid-30s, watching him. Who's asking? Name's Tommy Reeves. New fish like you. Got transferred here last week. Something feels off. New transfers to ADX are rare. What are you in for? Killed a federal prosecutor who was dirty. You didn't kill anyone. Tommy grins. Sure. Listen, I heard about your tattoos. Heard you got information people want. I can help you get word outside. I got connections. Daniel's instincts scream warning. This is a setup. Not interested. But Tommy keeps watching, keeps smiling. And Daniel knows the walls are closing in. Daniel's sister Sarah Hayes is a journalist for the Denver Post, Investigative beat. When Daniel was arrested, she knew immediately he was innocent. She spent 14 months digging into Robert Vance's background, Katherine Mills' murder, the construction company's contracts. She's hit walls everywhere, files sealed, witnesses disappearing, sources going silent. Vance has power, federal connections. But Sarah is relentless. 2 weeks ago, Daniel's lawyer smuggled out a message during a prison visit. Tell Sarah. UV light. Chapel. Sunday. 3 p.m. She didn't understand. UV light? Then she remembered Daniel's tattoos. She'd seen them during the trial, thought they were just grief response, something he did after Katherine died. But what if they meant something? She bought a UV flashlight. Started researching invisible ink, UV reactive tattoos. Now she's waiting for the next communication. Waiting for Daniel to get her more specific information. But time is running out. Execution in 16 days. And she's being followed. Black SUVs. Government plates. Day 10. Ghost's voice comes through the vent, urgent and low. Hayes. Listen to me. That guy Tommy in the yard, he's not what he says. I know. Felt wrong from a start. I asked around. He's not new transfer. He's been here 3 months, different unit. They moved him closer to you. Last week. Daniel's blood goes cold. So he's either working for Vance, here to kill you before execution. Or, Ghost pauses. Or what? Or he's FBI. Undercover. I heard rumors years ago about feds planting agents in ADX to infiltrate the Aryan Brotherhood leadership. Never confirmed. But if he's FBI, maybe he's investigating the same thing you are. Maybe he doesn't know you're innocent. Daniel processes this. How do I find out which? You don't. Not safely. But here's what I know. Someone requested your cell assignment be changed. Administrative order came down from the warden. They're moving you to a different unit tomorrow, closer to Tommy. Day 11. Daniel refuses to move cells. Claims religious objection, anything to delay. The guards don't care. They drag him out, throw him into the SHU, Special Housing Unit. Solitary confinement within solitary confinement. The cell is smaller. No vent to talk to ghost. No recreation hour. Food through the slot. Lights that never turn off or sudden darkness for days. It's psychological torture designed to break minds. The first 24 hours, Daniel counts his breaths. Maintains sanity through routine. Push-ups. Sit-ups. Mental calculations. Reviewing the information in his tattoos from memory. But by day 3, the isolation claws at him. He starts seeing shapes in the concrete. Hearing voices that aren't there. On day 4, the guards come. Warden Crow with them. Mr. Hayes, you have 12 days until execution. You can spend them in general population, where you might have phone privileges, visitors, a chance to say goodbye to your sister. Or you can spend them here. Choose. Daniel's breaking. He knows it. General population. Crow smiles. Good choice. Day 15. 8 days until execution. Daniel gets 15 minutes of phone time, standard for death row inmates approaching their date. He calls Sarah. Her voice breaks when she answers. Danny. God, Danny, I'm trying. I'm trying so hard, but, Sarah. Listen. Sunday. The chapel here has visitor hours. You need to request a visit. Bring a UV flashlight. Hide it. They'll search you, but not thoroughly if you're family. What am I looking for? My tattoos. Under blacklight. There's a second layer. Coordinates. Vance's face. Everything you need. Silence on the line. Then, they're watching me, Danny. 2 men in a black SUV. They followed me to work today. Daniel's heart sinks. Then you can't come. It's too dangerous. No. Her voice hardens. I'm coming. You're my brother. I'm not letting you die for something you didn't do. Sarah, I love you. I'll be there Sunday. The line goes dead. Daniel stands holding the phone, knowing he might have just signed his sister's death warrant. Day 16. Recreation hour. Daniel's in the cage. Tommy's adjacent again, persistent. Hayes, you're running out of time. Let me help you. Daniel's done playing games. Who are you really? Vance's assassin or FBI? Tommy's expression doesn't change. What makes you think I'm either? Because nobody in ADX cares about helping anyone, especially not a dead man. Silence. Then Tommy leans close to the mesh. Whispers. FBI. Special Agent Tommy Reeves. Undercover for 18 months, investigating Robert Vance. Same case you stumbled into. Katherine Mills was our witness. We were going to flip her, get her to testify against her uncle. When she died, our case died. Until we heard about you. About tattoos with evidence. Daniel's mind races. Prove it. I can't. Not without blowing my cover. But Sunday, when your sister visits, I'll make sure the chapel cameras malfunction. Give you 10 minutes. That's all I can do. Why should I trust you? Because we both want the same thing. Vance in prison. And you alive. Comment below. Would you trust an undercover FBI agent in a Supermax prison? Because what happens next will test that decision hard. Day 17. Daniels called back to Crow's office. But this time, Crow looks different. Tired. Almost conflicted. Hayes, I need to tell you something. And I need you to understand I had no choice. Daniel braces for impact. Robert Vance has my daughter. My 18-year-old daughter, Emily. He took her 6 months ago, when he learned you'd be transferred here. He told me, ensure Hayes dies in custody or Emily dies. That's why I've been. He stops. Actually looks human for once. I'm not a monster. I'm a father. But yesterday, Emily got a message out. She's being held at a property in Telluride. GPS coordinates. He slides a paper across the desk. These coordinates. I've verified them. I've contacted FBI outside of Vance's circle. They're planning a raid tomorrow. If they get Emily out alive, I'll testify. I'll tell them everything. About Vance, about the setup, about how he's been running operations from inside FBI. Daniel stares. The enemy just became an ally. What do you need from me? Stay alive 5 more days. That's it. Day 18. Sunday. The chapel at ADX Florence is a stark room with a cross on one wall, steel benches, and a camera in each corner. Sarah arrives, visibly shaken, searched twice by guards but allowed through. Daniel enters, shackled, guards watching. They have 20 minutes. Sarah's hands tremble. She pulls out a small flashlight. Guards didn't catch it, hidden in her bra. Daniel sits across from her, pulls his shirt up slightly, revealing the tattoos on his torso. Quickly, he whispers. Sarah turns on the UV light under the table. And there it is. The second layer glows purple-blue. Robert Vance's face, rendered in perfect detail. Below it, GPS coordinates, timestamps, bank account numbers, security camera locations. Everything needed to prove Vance murdered Katherine Mills. Sarah's photographing with her phone camera, hands shaking. Danny, they killed my source. The cop who was helping me. They found him yesterday. Made it look like suicide. Sarah, you need to disappear. Take this evidence and disappear. No. I'm going to the Washington Post. Tonight. National story. He can't kill everyone. The guards call time. Sarah stands. I love you, brother. I love you too. Day 19. All hell breaks loose. A coordinated riot erupts in C Block. Inmates overwhelming guards, fire starting, alarms screaming. It's chaos. But it's also cover. Daniel's in his cell when Ghost's voice comes through the vent. Hayes, this is Tommy's doing. He's creating a distraction. Warden's pulling all guards to contain the riot. You've got a window. A window for what? To get to the warden's office. He's got a secure satellite phone. Direct line outside Vance's surveillance. You need to call your sister, make sure she's safe, make sure she got the evidence out. Daniel's cell door suddenly unlocks. Electronic override. Tommy's work. The corridor's empty. Daniel runs. This is suicide. If they catch him out of cell during a riot, they'll shoot him. But he has to know Sarah's safe. He reaches the warden's office. Finds the phone. Dials Sarah's number. It rings. Rings. No answer. Come on, Sarah. Pick up. Pick up. Nothing. His sister is gone. Daniel turns to run back to his cell. Tommy's standing in the doorway. Gun drawn. Not a prison guard's gun. His own weapon. Hayes. Put the phone down. Daniel's heart stops. You're not FBI. Oh, I am FBI. But I'm also on Vance's payroll. You think Vance doesn't have people everywhere? I've been feeding him information for 3 years. Katherine Mills? I'm the one who gave him her location. I'm the one who told him she was about to flip. Daniel's world shatters. The riot was real. Unrelated. But convenient. See, Vance wanted you dead quiet. Heart attack. Suicide. But you've been too careful. So now we do it the messy way. Killed during a riot. Tragic. Tommy aims the gun. Daniel has nowhere to go. Then a voice behind Tommy. FBI. Drop the weapon. Real FBI agents flood the corridor. Tommy spins. Gunfire. Tommy goes down. The lead agent approaches Daniel. Daniel Hayes? Agent Sarah Chun, FBI Internal Affairs. We've been investigating Vance for 2 years. Your sister contacted us 6 hours ago. We have everything. You're free. 6 hours earlier. Sarah didn't go to the Washington Post. She went straight to FBI headquarters in Denver, demanded to see someone from Internal Affairs, refused to leave until they listened. She showed them the UV photographs of Daniel's tattoos. The GPS coordinates matched property owned by a shell company traced back to Robert Vance. The timestamps matched security footage they'd been unable to access. Katherine Mills' apartment building, showing Vance entering 20 minutes before Daniel arrived. The bank accounts showed payments to a contract killer, now deceased. It was everything. The case they'd been building for 2 years, suddenly complete. They moved immediately, coordinated with the U.S. Marshals, raided Vance's home in Virginia, found Emily Crow alive in the basement, arrested Vance at his FBI office, and sent a team to ADX Florence to extract Daniel and arrest Tommy Reeves, the dirty agent who'd been Vance's inside man all along. Warden Crow appears as FBI agents are processing the scene. His face is destroyed with relief and grief. My daughter. She's alive. Safe. Being transported to Denver Medical Center. You can see her in a few hours. Crow actually cries. Sits down on the floor, head in his hands. Then he looks at Daniel. Hayes, I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry. I was trying to save my daughter. I know that's not an excuse, but Daniel crouches down. You were a father protecting his child. I get it. But you need to testify. Every detail. Every conversation with Vance. Every order he gave you. Crow nods. I will. I'll burn everything down if it means she's safe. Daniel extends his hand. Crow takes it. An unlikely alliance formed in hell. 2 men who both lost everything to Robert Vance, but who might finally get justice. Within hours, the story explodes. FBI Deputy Director arrested in murder cover-up. Wrongfully convicted man's tattoos crack case. Federal corruption scandal reaches highest levels. Sarah's photographs of the UV tattoos become the most shared images in investigative journalism history. News outlets worldwide cover it. The tattoos, mathematical precision turned into art turned into evidence, are analyzed by experts who marvel at the complexity. Daniel Hayes becomes a symbol. The innocent man who literally wore his evidence on his skin, who survived America's most brutal prison, who refused to give up. Advocacy groups call for his immediate release. The Colorado governor's office issues a statement. Charges dropped, full pardon, formal apology. Civil rights attorneys line up to represent Daniel in lawsuits against the federal government. Katherine Mills' family releases a statement thanking Daniel for getting justice for their daughter. And Robert Vance sits in a federal holding cell, watching his empire collapse on television. Day 20. 3 days before his scheduled execution, Daniel Hayes walks out of ADX Florence a free man. Sarah's waiting outside the gates, tears streaming down her face. They embrace for the first time in 14 months. No glass between them, no guards watching, no time limit, just brother and sister who survived. The media's there, cameras, microphones, reporters shouting questions. Daniel ignores them. Looks back at the prison one time. Thinks about Ghost, still inside, serving a sentence for crimes he didn't commit. Sarah, I need a lawyer. A good one. For what? Marcus Thompson. Cell next to mine. He's innocent. Former prosecutor, framed like I was. I'm not leaving him in there. Sarah smiles. Already on it. I've been researching his case for the past week. We'll get him out. Daniel breathes free air. Mountains in the distance. Sky impossibly blue. Let's go home. They walk to her car. Drive away. The nightmare is over. Robert Vance's trial becomes the biggest federal corruption case in decades. The evidence is overwhelming. Daniel's tattoos provided the roadmap, but FBI's investigation filled in every detail. They prove Vance murdered Katherine Mills when she discovered he'd been embezzling from government contracts for 8 years. $30 million funneled through shell companies. He hired a contract killer named David Price to strangle Katherine and frame Daniel. Paid Price $200,000. Then had Price killed 3 months later to eliminate the witness. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Murder, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, corruption, wire fraud. Federal judge sentences him to life without parole. Same prison he sent Daniel to, ADX Florence. As marshals lead Vance away in shackles, he passes Daniel in the courthouse hallway. Doesn't say a word. just stares with impotent rage. Daniel stares back. Enjoy the view. 7 by 12 feet. 23 hours a day. For the rest of your life. 6 months later. Sarah's investigation into Marcus Ghost Thompson's case pays off. She uncovers prosecutorial misconduct, evidence withheld, witnesses coerced, his public defender incompetent. Daniel hires the best appellate lawyers in the country. They file for a new trial. The judge grants it. And at the new trial, the prosecution's case falls apart completely. Marcus Thompson is exonerated. 14 years stolen. 14 years in ADX Florence for bribery charges that never existed. He walks out into sunlight, aged beyond his years, but alive. Daniel's waiting for him. Ghost. You ready for the real world? Marcus grins. Brother, I don't even know what that means anymore. But yeah, let's find out. They formed a bond that only shared hell can create. Two innocent men who survived America's cruelest prison, who refused to let the system break them, who proved that truth eventually wins, even when it's written in ink on skin. A year after his release, Daniel gives one interview. 60 Minutes. Shows America exactly how the tattoos worked. The visible layer, geometric patterns, mandalas, mathematical formulas, beautiful abstract art. Anyone looking at them sees body art, nothing suspicious. But under UV blacklight, the second layer appears. Rendered in UV-reactive ink, invisible to the naked eye. Robert Vance's face, constructed from thousands of tiny coordinates. GPS locations where Vance met the killer. Timestamps of security footage. Bank routing numbers. Names of shell companies. All of it invisible, unless you know to look. Why tattoos? The interviewer asks. Daniel's answer is simple. They can take everything from you in prison. Your freedom, your dignity, your hope. But they can't take your skin. The evidence became part of me. Permanent. Undeniable. Even if I died in there, eventually someone would have discovered it. The truth would have gotten out. The tattoos are now in the newsroom, photographed and preserved as evidence. A permanent record of innocence proven in ink. But here's what nobody reported. What Daniel never told anyone except Sarah. When the tattoo artist in Boulder was inking the UV layer, he asked Daniel a question. What if you die before anyone sees this? Daniel had thought about that. So he did something else. He had the artist tattoo one more thing, in UV ink on the inside of his left wrist, where he'd see it every day, where it would remind him to survive. The coordinates aren't evidence, aren't GPS locations. They're the coordinates of Katherine Mills's grave. Daniel visits once a month, brings flowers, tells her about the case, about Vance's conviction, about justice finally served. I'm sorry I couldn't save you, he says every time. But I made sure the truth came out. I made sure he paid. The coordinates on his wrist glow under blacklight like a promise kept. Like a memorial carved into flesh. Like proof that some debts can never be forgotten. An empty cell in ADX Florence. H Unit, Section 12. The cell Daniel Hayes occupied for 20 days. It's been cleaned, prepared for the next inmate. The concrete slab bed. The steel toilet. The slot in the door. This place destroyed men. Was designed to. But Daniel survived. Not just survived. 1. His story changed prison reform laws. Led to investigations into ADX Florence's solitary confinement practices. Started conversations about wrongful convictions, about forensic evidence, about the corruption that can exist at the highest levels of law enforcement. The cell sits empty now. But if you were to shine a UV light on the concrete wall above where the bed was, you'd see something. Scratched into the concrete, then filled with UV-reactive ink, smuggled in somehow. The truth always surfaces. DH. A message for the next innocent man who ends up in this hell. Proof that even in America's darkest prison, hope survives. And sometimes, against all odds, so does justice. This story proves that truth can survive anywhere, even carved into skin in the darkest prison in America. Hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible prison stories. Next up, the death row inmate who saved a guard's life. Watch that here.